Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be working on this Hitachi 2-cycle leaf blower. The problem with it is that it's got bad fuel lines. Every time you go to prime it, you get gas squirting out everywhere. And it's this return line right here that is broken. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but this line right here is broken. So we are going to be replacing that with hopefully one of these. Hopefully I have the right size here somewhere. So that's what we'll be doing today. First, let me empty out this gas tank. I think we're going to dump it in the string trimmer. Then we'll get started. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. I emptied out the gas, and as you can see, down in the tank, you can actually see some of the old fuel line down there. It's all cracked and in pieces. The way these things work is every time you press the primer bulb, it pulls or sucks the gas up from the tank and runs it through the carburetor, and there's a return line that goes back down into the tank for the excess gas. And that's what's wrong with this one. The return line is broken. So the blower actually still runs. It's just every time you go to prime it, it shoots gas out of there. So I think I'm gonna replace all the fuel lines. If the return line is bad, it can't be long before the main line cracks and breaks as well. So let's get to taking this thing apart. Get it set up there. Right. Air filter, foam air filter. Now, so the whole carburetor popped off there. And that line just broke completely. Looks like there's 3 lines. One line pulls it up from the tank through the carburetor, and then a line to the primer bulb, and then another line down back into the tank to return it. Millimeter. Let's pull this off. Put this aside. I think I'm going to have to take this fuel tank off. Let's see how we do that. Just a couple screws. One screw, 2 and 3. beginning to see me take 3 screws out. Turn you back on when there's something interesting. Alright, got the fuel tank off, and I'm going to go about replacing these fuel lines here. So I think this one that's still attached here, probably goes down into this tank, and it has a fuel filter attached to it. And sure does. You see that fuel filter? So what I'm going to do is I am going to take this line off. Guys, remember which one that is? It's the one pointing up. And now I'm going to try to grab this . And feed this line out. There we go. There's a little spring clip here. Pull that off. So now I am going to find a suitable replacement line that's about the same inside and outside diameter. Outside diameter is a little bit more important so that it can fit through this grommet more snugly. So let's see what I have. Alright, so what I found was that this 3/32 by 3/16, 3/32 by 3/16 line will probably work. It fits through the grommet fairly snugly. It's very similar size, but I think just slightly smaller. It would probably work, but this line seems to be a better and closer match. This is a 0.117 by 0.211 line. So so you can see that the diameters actually match pretty good there. And the line actually fits through this grommet quite snugly, but not too much so. So I think this is what I'm going to go with as the replacement line. So I am gonna cut a piece of line about the same size as the old one. And now I'm going to feed it back to, actually first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get all the pieces of this old line out of the tank. Alright, that ought to do it. I don't see any more brittle pieces in there. And even if there are, this fuel filter shouldn't let any of that through. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shove this thing down through this grommet. And now I'm going to try and grab it. Come on. There we go. And now I'm going to slip this spring clip back over. I'm going to shove this fuel filter back in the line. I think. There we go. You want to get it all the way up seated really well. And then slide this clip back over. Like that. Making sure to rip a hole in your glove in the process. Now we can pull this back out a little bit more and shove this back down into the tank. As I was working on that, this grommet came out. And this grommet actually looks can't tell whether this is, I think this is the grommet actually dissolving, not just the line inside but the grommet itself. See if I can push what's left of that line out of here. Yeah, I think that's actually the grommet itself. That's what ethanol fuel will do. I think we'll be okay. I think I can reuse it still. If I push the fuel line down through it and it's a snug fit, it'll hold what's left of this grommet in that hole. So, as you say, give that a shot. Yeah, I think we'll give that a shot. Now I gotta find, let me see, where did that primer bulb go? There we go. Alright, so before I forget, this side, this line attaches to the carburetor like so. So we will leave that be for now, and we'll turn our attention to this. So this one is the return line. I'll leave that alone for now. Let me pull this one off and see about replacing it. Almost looks like it has some sort of spring down the center. I've never seen anything like that before. Huh. Isn't that funny? I guess I'll put that back into the new line. Maybe it's just to give it a little bit more rigidity or something. I'm not really sure what that's for. And it also appears to be this 0.117 by 0.112 line. So let's cut another piece of that. And I will reinsert this spring back in, like that. Now I will connect that back on here, like that. Huh. And now, actually, now this line, it almost looks like they used a different material for it. So we'll cut it off about there. Hopefully that will be more than enough. So this one with the spring connects back into the carburetor. And then this one, the return line, gets shoved back down into the tank. This is pretty squishy, this grommet. Alright, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use a piece of 3/32 by 3/16 line. This grommet is kind of blown up, and that size line won't fit through it, but I believe I can get a piece of this through. So, and this is just a return line, so it doesn't really make a difference from a fuel flow standpoint. It's really only used when you prime the engine. Okay, alright, that got through. And that's a pretty snug fit too, so I think this is going to work. That might be a little bit short. Maybe I will replace this. This one, it's a little bit longer. I know this primer assembly is in your way, but basically there's a gasket that goes between the carburetor and the motor. Actually, it goes something like this. But you want to make sure that this hole, this tiny hole, lines up with this tiny hole on the gasket. That's vacuum for the fuel pump in the carburetor. Did I just put that carburetor on backwards? I think I did. Alright, let's take it off and put it on the right way. Betcha I'd never figure out why it didn't start. Tighten down that nut. Oops. 10 millimeter. Alright, what do you think? Think that'll work? I think so. Let me go put some gas in it and find out. Almost forgot. You want to bolt back on the fuel tank? That wouldn't be good, would it? And the fuel tank is held on with these sort of shoulder screws, 3 of them. 1, 2, and you can get to it through that hole right there, and 3. Fuel is going through, but it is not leaking. Alright, see if she'll fire. I call that a win. A sneak peek look at our next project.